Hey, hockey fans, how's everybody doing? February 28th, there were 5 games, so we'll review those scores quick, and then we'll get right into the picks for Saturday, as there's 12 games, a morning game, a couple matinees, and then some later hockey. So lots of good hockey to watch on Saturday. But on the 28th, we have the New York Rangers play Philly. Philly ended up winning that game 5-2. Minnesota handled Columbus and won 5-0. Carolina put up a fight but lost to Colorado 3-2. Buffalo looked strong at the beginning of the game, and then Vegas took over. They won 4-2. And then Pittsburgh, I can't believe it, but lost to Anaheim 3-2. So I went 2-3 for the day, which wasn't great, but my best bet came through, which was awesome. 6-4 on my best bet, current 1-game winning streak. Also on my side bets I got Minnesota on the money line. I got the over on the Rangers-Philly game. I did not get the Carolina money line game right. So 2 out of 3, still a decent day. Made a little bit of dough, and that's all you can ask for. Looking forward to a great weekend and, picking the right games. So we'll get right into the picks for Saturday, February 29th. We got Boston against the New York Islanders. The New York Islanders are 4-4-2 with 2 overtime decisions as their streak. Varlamov is probable in net with a 2.51 goals against average. The last game was a loss to St. Louis 3-2 in overtime. Boston 7-3-0 in their last 10 with a current 1-game winning streak. Rask has been confirmed in net with a little better goals against average at 2.22. The last game Boston played is when they edged over Dallas and won 4-3. Boston has won the last 9 times they've been on the road to the Islanders, seeking their 10th consecutive win while being on the road. The road team has always won this season as well when these teams have faced each other. Islanders 3-2 in December back in Boston, and the Bruins 3-2 in January in New York. All the history would say you should be betting Boston here, but I kind of like the Islanders at home. They've been in every game, and I think their new acquisitions are going to be gelling a little bit better. And again, if you're going to beat Boston, beating them on the road is a lot easier than at home. First pick, Islanders to beat Boston. Second game, not a real exciting one, but we'll go over it quick. New Jersey against Los Angeles. Los Angeles 4-5-1 in their last 10 with a current 1-game winning streak. Peterson is probable in net. And the last game Los Angeles played was when they beat Pittsburgh 2-1. New Jersey 6-3-1. Current overtime decision is their streak. Blackwood is probable in net. And their last game was a loss to San Jose 3-2 in overtime. The Devils lead the season series with a 3-0 win earlier in February. The Devils have earned at least a point in each of their 4 games. I like New Jersey here. New Jersey to beat Los Angeles for my second pick. Third game, we've got Calgary against Tampa. Tampa 6-4-0 with a current 4-game losing streak. Vasilevsky is probable in net for Tampa, and their last game was a loss to Chicago 5-2. Calgary 6-3-1 with an overtime decision. Riddick is probable in net for Calgary. And their last game was a loss to Nashville when Nashville tied the game with like 1 second left, pushed it into overtime and ended up winning 4-3. Tampa's looking to avoid their 5th straight loss. These teams have not played each other this year. Both teams coming off a loss, but I can't see Tampa losing here, even against this Calgary team. And I know Calgary's fairly healthy, strong, not too many injuries right now. I just like Tampa at home here. Tampa is my second pick to beat Calgary. Or my third pick, sorry. Fourth game, Chicago against Florida. Florida 4-6-0 in their last 10 with a current 1-game losing streak. Bobrovsky is probable in net for Florida. And their last game was a loss to Toronto 5-3. Chicago 3-7-0 in their last 10 with a current 1-game winning streak. Crawford is probable in net. And their last game was a crazy 5-goal third period win over Tampa. The Panthers lead the season series 1-0 with a 4-3 January win in Chicago. Chicago has a strong record playing on Leap Day. If you're superstitious, you're going to want to bet Chicago here. They haven't lost since 1984. Chicago with Crawford in net, I like them as well. Not superstitious, but I'm going to go for Chicago. Fourth pick, Chicago to beat Florida. Fifth game, Colorado against Nashville. Nashville 6-3-1 in their last 10 with a current 3-game winning streak. Tied for second wildcard position. Saros is probable in net, and their last game was a 4-3 overtime victory over Calgary. Colorado 7-2-1, current 5-game winning streak, second in the Central. Their new goaltender, Hutchinson's probable in net for Colorado, and their last game was a win over Carolina, 3-2. Avalanche lead the season series 1-0 with a high-scoring 9-4 win in November. Colorado playing their new goalie. We'll see about that. Colorado has an awesome road record, sitting at 21-9-2 this season. I expect a tight game here. Nashville with their extra rest, though. I'm going to go another home team here, and I'm going to go 5th pick, Nashville to beat Colorado. 6th game, Vancouver against Toronto. Toronto 5-4-1 in their last 10 with a current 2-game winning streak. Frederik Andersen is probable in net. Their last game was a win 5-3 over Florida. Vancouver 4-5-1 in their last 10 with a current 1-game losing streak. Demko is probable in net for Vancouver, and their last game was an embarrassing one to Ottawa 5-2. The Leafs lead the season series 1-0 with a 4-1 win in December. I think Vancouver's a little bit of a better home team here. And it might take them another game to figure out what happened with that loss to Ottawa. I mean, that was a bad one. I'm going to go Toronto. Toronto for my 6th pick to beat Vancouver. 7th game, Carolina against Montreal. Montreal 3-5-2 with a current 1-game losing streak. Price is probable in net for Montreal, and their last game was a 5-2 loss to the Rangers. Carolina 5-4-1 in their last 10 with a current 2-game losing streak. Nedeljkovic is probable in net for Carolina, and their last game was a loss to Colorado 3-2. The Hurricanes lead 2-0 in this series and will look to sweep Montreal. They won 4-3 in October and 3-1 in December. Montreal's struggling at Bell Center. They're still struggling at home. Even with that last loss, I like what I saw watching the Carolina-Colorado game, and I'm going to go Carolina here to beat Montreal for my 7th pick. On to the 8th game. We've got Detroit against Ottawa. Ottawa, big win over Vancouver. Last 10, they're 4-5-1 with a current 1-game winning streak. Hogberg is probable in net for Vancouver against Detroit. Detroit 2-8-0, current 4-game losing streak. Bernier is probable in net, and their last game was a 7-1 loss to Minnesota. Senators lead the series 2-1. Senators won 5-2 in October, 4-3 in November, and then the Red Wings won 3-2 in January. I think Ottawa's going to continue riding that crazy win over Vancouver, and Detroit has no one that can score anyway, so I'm going to go Ottawa to beat Detroit for my 8th pick. 9th game, we've got Buffalo against Arizona. Arizona 4-5-1 in their last 10 with a current 1-game losing streak. Kemper is probable in net for Arizona, and their last game was a loss to Florida 2-1. Against Buffalo, 6-4-0, current 2-game losing streak. Johannesson is probable in net for Buffalo, and their last loss was to Vegas. That last game they played 4-2. The Coyotes lead the season series 1-0 with a 3-1 win back in October. I don't know what to do on this one. I think Buffalo, they've got some talent. Arizona's got talent too, I know. I am going to go Buffalo here. I'm going to go Buffalo, which I know will be an upset, but Buffalo to beat Arizona for my 9th pick. 10th game, we've got Dallas against St. Louis. This will be a very good game. Maybe the next 2 games I'm going to talk about, one of those 2 I think will be one of the better games of the weekend, or Saturday anyway. St. Louis 6-2-2 in their last 10 with a current 6-game winning streak. Bennington is probable in net for St. Louis, and their last game was a 2-1 win over the Islanders in overtime. Dallas 7-2-1, current 1-game losing streak. Bishop is probable in net, and their last game was a loss to Boston 4-3. The Blues have won 3 of the 4 games these teams have played each other this season. Blues 3-2 in October, Blues 3-1 in November, Stars 3-2 in February, and then the Blues, the last game they played was 5-1 in February as well. I like the Blues to go for number 7 here and beat Dallas at home. St. Louis is my pick for my 10th game. 11th game, Winnipeg against Edmonton. Edmonton 5-3-2 in their last 10 with a current 1-game losing streak. Koskinen is probable in net for Edmonton. And the last game was a loss to Vegas 3-0. Winnipeg 5-4-1 with a current 1-game winning streak. Hellebuck is probable in net for Winnipeg. And the last game Winnipeg played was when they beat Washington 3-0. The Jets lead the season series 1-0 with a 1-0 win back in October. I like Winnipeg here. Edmonton is just got some struggles going on, and I don't think they're going to be able to keep up with this Winnipeg team. I know Winnipeg had a couple injuries there in the last game, but I think they're still deep enough that they'll be okay. I'm going to take Winnipeg here to beat Edmonton for the 11th pick. And on to the 12th game. Pittsburgh against San Jose. San Jose 4-6-0 in their last 10, current one-game winning streak. Jones probable in net for San Jose. And the last game San Jose played was a 3-2 overtime win against New Jersey. Pittsburgh 4-5-1 with a current 5-game losing streak, third in the Metropolitan still. Jari is probable in net for Pittsburgh, and their last game they played was the Anaheim 3-2 loss. Sharks won the first meeting 3-2 in January, and they lead that series 1-0. I'm going to go Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh doesn't win this game for me. I don't know if I'll bet on Pittsburgh again this year. Pittsburgh, though. I'm going to take Pittsburgh. For my side bets that I'm placing tomorrow anyway, I'm going to do a pool ticket for all the games, obviously. But I'm going to take the Maple Leafs on the money line. When I check the lines here, the Leafs were at -185. I'm going to take the Ottawa Senators at -1.5 at +150. I'm going to take the Chicago Blackhawks at +1.5 at -165. And then I'm going to take the New York Islanders on the money line for +1.25. Individual bets, and then I'll parlay those. Reviewing the bets, I'm going to take the New York Islanders over Boston. I'm going to take New Jersey over Los Angeles. I'm going to take Tampa to beat Calgary. I'm going to take Chicago to beat Florida, Nashville to beat Colorado, Toronto to beat Vancouver, Carolina to beat Montreal, Ottawa to beat Detroit, Buffalo to beat Arizona, St. Louis to beat Dallas, Winnipeg to beat Edmonton. I'm going to make Winnipeg to beat Edmonton my best bet for Saturday, February 29th. And then the last game, I'm going to take Pittsburgh. And hopefully they can show up at the beginning of the game instead of just at the end of the game and play a full game and win the game. Anyway, hope everyone has a wicked start to the weekend. It's Friday night. Tomorrow, enjoy the hockey. Good luck with your picks. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.